Oh yeah, that told you. Oh shit, it is. Granted, it might be already up there. All right. Mm. Goddamn. Mm.
2 o'clock. I'll be back.
What up, Roman and family? So, what's popping with y'all, my boys? I got some graham crackers. And can eat some graham crackers. I'm gonna go to my game.
PS2 Pro. I never going to kiss the Pro.
I got you. And I haven't played this shit in a while. Stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Because motherfuckers low key cheap. You gotta take a medicine out there. Uh, yeah, we got some graham crackers to eat, y'all. You know what I'm saying? Graham crackers. Got them graham crackers. You know what I'm saying? We got graham crackers. What y'all got up today, Roman and family? What's popping with y'all today? We got this. You know what I'm saying? It's cold as hell outside today. We just got done getting some food and everything. Yeah, we just go.
DCKO number 2 is amazing. Holy cow. I think it's better than anything that's come out of the Absolute Universe so far. I know it's ballsy to say that. Bear with me here because you guys are going to see what I'm talking about. So what this does is this initially opens up with a kind of game that's being played between like Diana and Superman and Batman. Now, I know it doesn't seem overly important, but it is. It's a really important part of this story. The game they're playing was the idea of Tim Drake and is predicated on this whole concept. If you couldn't be what you are now, no powers, and you can't be doing the same job, what would you be? And the idea is that they each guess for the other what they think they would be. And so the first turn goes to Clark Kent. He looks at Diana and he's like, I think you would be a tour guide, for national parks or historic sites, showing people the beauty and the humility of nature and all that kind of cool stuff. Diana looks at Bruce Wayne and was like, I think you'd be a doctor. And so Bruce Wayne in turn looks at Superman and he says, I think you would be president. And Superman rejects this, right? He's like, you can't be serious, right? In response to Bruce, oh, I'm 100% serious. And so Superman's just kind of like, if I couldn't be Superman or a reporter, I don't know what I would be, but you're way off, Bruce. I do not have that in me to be president of the United States. Keep that in the back of your head. That will become important. So at that point, we jump to the tournament. We jump to the fight between all the superheroes. Now, keep in mind, the whole idea behind DCKO, the rest of which were eliminated in the first round, we already covered that. We'll have a playlist if you want to check it out. The remaining 32 competitors are all competing amongst each other in order to obtain the Omega energy. Now, the cool thing about this is that Snyder kind of breaks this down, right? It says, and so begins the next round. This round before us took 11 billion years to construct, but was carved inside a microscopic white hole where time moves like light, a blink, and it exists, history and all. For the and transdimensional power. But then the final one, the 16th object, is a mystery item. So here's what I want to know from you guys. Before we get too far into this, I want to know, what do you think the mystery item is? Right? I want you to leave a comment down below. Tell me, what do you think the mystery item is? So now that the battle starts, we're told, and they scatter, right? They're off to the races. Some can sense which item is where. Hawkman senses the claw of Horus. Cyborg, the mother box. Others, like Lex Luthor, have come prepared. His suit contains more scanners than the 10 most powerful military satellites combined. Infrared, heat, synthetic aperture radar. Within a single second, he maps the entire landscape, sees where every item is, and blasts off towards the power rings. But Clark is watching, and if there's one thing Clark is determined to do, is to make sure that Lex Luthor does not win. And so it says, he races after Lex. He takes a moment to slow the other villains too. This is why he's here, he tells himself. This is his part, to make sure the villains fail, all of them, but especially Lex Luthor. And it says, meanwhile, at the site of the Adam's Belt, Diana and Etrigan battle. Now, Etrigan is immensely powerful, right? Gone, the form of man, arise the demon Etrigan is what Jason Blood says when he turns into his demonic form. This is not uncharted water.
I tell you, my boy, how your day going? We just came from the grocery store.
Is a perfect example.
How your day going, my boy?
That story is phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing. But every time Etrigan speaks, he runs. And so that's why he says, to you that belt shall not pass. This demon spawn will kick your ass. I admit, princess, you fought well, but you are no match. And the diamond just says, go to hell, right? And just absolutely pummels this guy. But in the midst of that, she starts hunting around, right? She was like, I hate runs. Now, where is the belt? And that's where you find Giganta, who's there. She just says, there's only room for one big girl in this challenge. But then Giganta is suddenly overshadowed by this massive being. And he's just like, you call that big? And she's like, what in the hell? And we find out the Joker got the Adam's belt. He is huge. He's gigantic. Dude, it's absolutely crazy, man. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. People get powers that you would never expect them to have. It's so amazing. Dude, it's let's just keep going. You guys see what I'm saying. So, at that point, Giganta's like, Joker, right? What are you doing? We are on the same side. And Joker's like, oh yeah, I forgot. And then just stomps on her and like smashes this girl. And then he eats her, right? And then at that point, it switches. And it says, meanwhile, at the God Killer site, you have Plastic Man facing off against Rex Mason. Now, here's a funny thing. Number one, I kept wanting to call Rex Mason Molecule Man. That's not true. Metamorpho. Here's the cool thing, though, right? Plastic Man's immensely powerful. JLA 98 from Grant Morrison did establish that Martian Manhunter is more powerful than Superman, and Martian Manhunter is the one superhero on Earth that Superman is afraid to fight. However, Plastic Man is OP as hell. So much so that when I made the Injustice videos like 7 years ago, I was like, yeah, man, Plastic Man would kill Superman. And he could, right? Just flood his lungs. He could just destroy Superman in any number of ways. But what happens when Plastic Man, with plastic being a composite element, goes against someone like Metamorpho, who can change into anything? This is dope. Because what ends up happening is that Plastic Man says, sorry, Rexy, in preparation for this shindig, I got an upgrade. A sheen of basically super plastic, because it's a whole great big huge word that I can't pronounce. And he says, nothing you can make will dissolve it. And that's when Metamorpho says, except maybe itself. And he says, this material, boiling hot, thanks for the recipe. And so literally, he boils the Plastic Man. So Metamorpho can overpower Plastic Man. There you go. Now you got a guy that can take him out. And this is dope, right? It's really cool to see something like this, because at that point he says, now for the God Killer sword. The issue is that when he goes for the sword, as he's reconstructing himself, Starro is there. And so Starro is literally just like, no, you're too slow. But the funny thing is that when Starro goes for the sword, Jay Garrett comes racing by and snatches it up. And he's like, and you were sent, right? At that point, you switch over to Guy Gardner. Now, it is important to keep in mind here, this is not the main Guy Gardner of the DC Universe. This is the time-displaced Guy Gardner from Justice League Unlimited. Basically a little bit of a refresher there. And the crossover story, We Are Yesterday, a whole bunch of superheroes from the past were suddenly brought to the present day. And so that's what you basically get here. Guy Gardner comes across the Speed Force ring. And that's a crazy thing, because not only is he a Green Lantern, he would be a Green Lantern with the powers of the Flash. And so at that point, he's just like, okay, right? A man can never have too many rings, am I right? And so at that point, he gets cracked over the head with a mallet. And this woman just says, Ivy will love this, only to find out it's Harley Quinn, who now has the power of the Flash. At that point, Superman catching up to Lex Luthor, we focus on this. And this is arguably the greatest moment in the entire story, although I will say, Lex Luthor has this moment. Oh my God, did you guys, man, dude, Lex Luthor and Superman. Superman has this crazy, okay, I'm sorry, I'm so excited, people. This is, you don't understand. Okay, so here's the thing, right? At this point, Superman is just kind of pummeling on Lex Luthor. And the funny thing is, Lex Luthor says, I'm glad that we had this moment, Superman, because I wanted to say thank you. He says, when you put all of us, the Legion of Doom, in the Phantom Zone, I expected it to be just a cage. But what you've made it, therapeutic. A great big huge cosmic couch. It's beautiful, actually, because keep in mind, this Lex Luthor and his Legion of Doom, they're also time displaced, right? They're part of the same story that brought Guy Gardner into the present day. And so he says, as I was floating there, I had an epiphany. And Superman initially dismisses it, right? He was like, I'm not interested. And Lex is like, I figured. And he says, you know, it's a good moment to be a kryptonite enthusiast. What with it so much more common these days? And he says, I've expanded my collection, plenty to choose from. Purple to drain your life force, black to steal your powers, red, pink, so many uses. But what I'm really going to use them for is to get you to listen for once. And he says, so here's my epiphany, Superman. I always thought I hated you because you did too much. You stopped humanity from realizing our potential by saving us from failure. But I was wrong, and I get that now. Because what I really hate you for, if I'm being honest with myself, is doing too little. So thank you for bringing me to the Phantom Zone. It was revelatory. I wanted you to feel what I felt. So I brought it to you. So he brandishes this sword and cuts off Superman's hand. And he's like, in the form of a Phantom Zone blade. Lex Luthor has a lightsaber, son. And so at that point, he gives what's probably the coldest monologue that I think I've ever heard from Lex Luthor. He's like, when I arrived here in the heart of Apocalypse, it gave... And so at that point, he gives what's probably the coldest monologue that I think I've ever heard from Lex Luthor. He's like, when I arrived here in the heart of Apocalypse, it gave me a vision of what the universe could be like if I won, of everything remade in my image. I assume it did this for everyone. So what was yours, Superman? A better reality? Far better? Diseases cured, corrupt governments eradicated, a cultural and technological paradise? Am I right? But let me guess, your response to that vision was to reject it. Your goal, even now, is to just put everything back the way it was at the end of all of this. And so while Lex is taunting Superman, he fires off these green kryptonite shards into Superman directly. And so he says, I know how much you like to listen to heartbeats, so listen now. Do you hear them all up there, full of longing and fear? They want your vision. Maybe they didn't in another time, but they do in this one, because things have changed. The center has fallen apart, and everyone feels it. In this era, people are begging for a hero who will fix the problems, the wars, the death, the misery, the terror of it all. They want you to save them. What the Phantom Zone taught me is that I do too, but you never will. And he says, because deep down, you are a coward, Superman. That was my epiphany. Now, excuse me, while I do what you won't and save the world. And he just takes off and he just says, feel free to sit back and watch. Dude, it's nuts. It's absolutely amazing. Dude, tell me that's not one of the greatest monologues for Lex Luthor in the history of his character in any media, cartoons, movies, comics, video games, whatever the case happens to be. And so in the midst of all of this, Guy Gardner flies right by. Superman's literally sitting there with shards of green kryptonite dying. He doesn't. And he has a dope moment here in a second. But Guy Gardner flies by and he's just like, look alive, dorks. Guy Gardner for the win. At that point, he's chasing after Hawkman, and Hawkman snatches up the claw horse. And at that point, Guy's just like, not again, right? And it says, meanwhile, at the mother box, and Cyborg tracks it down. And he just says, talk to me. And then you jump to the Soul Taker sword, right? Swamp Thing's going after it. The blade belongs to the Green. And then it's just demons, totems. You're no match for a god. And Etrigan just responds, right? You may be mossy and you divine, but believe when I say that sticker is mine. But then like Lobo, it's just like you're all a bunch of bass stitches, right? Punks is really what it means. And he says, and look at this. I just found my own golden ticket. Venom. The Venom of Bane. And so the crazy thing is that in the midst of that, Starro shows up, right? And Starro tries to attack Lobo. And Lobo's like, dude, you don't even have muscles to use this thing. And Starro's like, dude, are you blind? Starfish are 98% muscle. I'm jacked. Give me that thing. And Bane's just like, too late, right? Because he starts injecting himself with the venom. And he's like, now get your slimy but weirdly soft feelers off the main man. And just like rips Starro apart. But anybody who knows anything about Starro and who knows anything about Starfish knows that Lobo just made a massive mistake. Because at that point, Starro is just like another fact about Starfish. We regenerate. And so literally all these pieces of Starro just start attaching to all these heroes. And it gets crazy, right? Like we're literally told all at once, Starro uses his new host to grab for any items he can. He goes for Supergirl, who holds the Psycho Pirate's mask, and Aquaman, who has the Cosmic Rod. Other hosts he sends to stop the champions from finding items altogether. Flash, he sends to prevent Black Lightning from discovering the Warlogog. Wonder Woman, he sends to take down Zatanna before she can find Thor's hammer. But there's this amazing moment that goes on, right? Because at that point, Wonder Woman says, your parlor tricks will not work on me, Zatanna. And Zatanna just says, right by your side, Diana, listen to my voice. And Wonder Woman, right, again, under the control of Starro, just says, it doesn't matter where you are, she is mine. And that's where Zatanna says, I'm not talking about myself. And she says, Diana, by your side, reach down now. And in that moment, Diana ends up touching Thor's hammer, and all this lightning gets called down by Wonder Woman, which hits every single person that's possessed by Starro. And Starro's overpowered and defeated. And so at that moment, Guy Gardner goes and tries to grab the Blue Scarab. But in the midst of that, Jason Todd, Red Hood, snatches the thing up. And literally is just like, okay, Joker, how's this for a punchline? And goes to fire off all these blasts at the Joker. But the Joker, having the Atom's belt, shrinks down and disappears and starts attacking Big Barda. Because at that point, Big Barda, right, formerly being one of the Furies, basically a new god, just starts screaming out in horror, right? I have not felt pain like this since I was in the fire pits. Something hurts. Only for us to find out the Joker has shrunk down small enough to enter into her brain and is attacking the inside of her head. And then we're told, as the moments pass, more and more items are claimed until only a few remain, like the Thunder Pen. And that's crazy, because at that point, King Shark is just like going to claim the thing for himself, and he goes against Vixen. Now, here's the crazy thing. Vixen is arguably the most underappreciated superhero in DC Comics. She's amazing, because in the same way that like Swamp Thing can control the Green, I know that for a lot of you guys, your initial thought is probably all the superheroes who have died in the DC KO event up to this point. Wrong, That's not what's happening. So the crazy thing is it jumps back to Superman, who's clearly succumbing to the influence of the kryptonite in his system. And it says, across the island, Clark senses the game coming to a close. They all do. He tries to stand, but the kryptonite shards Lex fired into his body will not let him. But before he can even call Captain Adam's name, he feels it, a rumbling, and he just knows Lex has won. Because using the Black Lantern ring, he resurrects all the dead Elder Gods that Darkseid had killed in this place. Because remember what I said at the beginning, this place houses the corpses of the Elder Gods that Darkseid had slain to attain his power. That's the New 52 origin for Darkseid, being made manifest here, which is probably worth covering because it's really, really dope. It quite literally explains how Darkseid went from Yuxas to this just absolute force of nature seeking to conquer and control everything in existence. And so it says, one by one, Lex uses the Elder Gods to take them out, the heroes, Clark's friends, and all the while, Lex never takes his eyes off Superman. And so at that point, it jumps back to the conversation, right? That conversation at the beginning of the story that I told you was so incredibly important because Lois asked, okay, Clark, what's your answer? Choose. What would you be if you couldn't be what you are now? And Clark just says, yeah, I don't know, Lois, like a fireman? And Bruce is like, stop, right? And Clark just says, I wouldn't be a politician, Bruce. It's never even crossed my mind. And that's what Bruce says, because you have him, Superman. And literally Clark's just like, so what's your point? And Bruce says, my point is, you always look to do the most good possible. That's who you are. You are a strategist, same as me and Diana, but in your own way. And right now, your math works. And so that's why Clark's just like, I mean, like, thanks, right? Can I have my Superman now, please? And Bruce just says no, because things change, Clark. That's what games like this are about. Figuring out a new math if one is needed, dude. It's crazy, right? And so Diana's just like, and here I thought they were just about relaxing. And so Clark says, seriously, Bruce, we're supposed to be having fun here. What's the issue? And Bruce says, you know what? You're right. Here, Clark, here's your little Superman back. That's the important lesson. Because while all these forces, right, these Elder Gods are being resurrected by Lex Luthor, Lex just says it's over, Superman. And then we get this amazing line. Dude, it's so amazing. We get this amazing line, right? It says, his hand throbs. His body is one long scream. He tries, though. He tries to figure out some new math, some way. And then suddenly, the rules come back to him. Follow the example of Darkseid, and you shall be rewarded, right? The example of Darkseid, who sacrificed not just his hand, but his life to become something more. Clark thinks of the mystery item, one of the only things left unclaimed, and he grabs the kryptonite shard in his shoulder, and just before Lex brings the Elder God's foot down on his body, crushing it, Clark ends Superman. And that's where Lex is just like, who's the real Superman now, old friend? And then he just says, I am Luthor. I am Superman. And Superman is, because the mystery item is the Omega Sanction of Darkseid, the power of Darkseid himself. Son, let me tell you something, son. If God was writing comic books right now, this is what it would look like right now. Dude, I told you guys, it's amazing, it's amazing. And he says, he decimates the Elder Gods, just as Darkseid did eons ago, and it feels good. He will stop them all. Luthor, Joker, and Luthor's freaking out, right? He's pissed. And Superman says, you lose, Luthor. But then it says, but before Clark can fire champions, all items have been claimed. The challenge is now over. Those of you without items are eliminated. Those of you with items in your possession, congratulations, you move on. Literally, Lex Luthor was saved by the bell. He was saved by the bell. And that's where he just tells Superman, I will see you next round. And so it says, there you have it. The surviving 16 champions moving to the next level. They can all feel their closeness to victory. They have the taste for it now. For the fight the competition. But the game is not only being played here. And I told you guys, there was a crazy ending to this story, right? It's being played outside the tournament as well. Because at that point, you focus on Time Trapper Doomsday and World Forger alongside Booster Gold. Because Booster Gold, having the ability to manipulate time, is basically helping them in their efforts, right? They're at the Watchtower. And so that's why Time Trapper Doomsday says, the fire pits burn bright with Omega energy as our champions get closer to the center. Soon, we may have a new King Omega. There is hope. We just have to continue to hold the time barrier against Darkseid. And then Booster says, unless we don't. And that's where Time Trapper's like, what do you mean, Booster? And Booster says, oh, Time Trapper, you've spent too much time with the Kryptonian. You've become soft in your old age. There is no need for a new King Omega. We already have ours. Me, Darkseid. And it's time I enter the arena. With that being said, guys, we're going to bring this to an end. I told you guys, this story is incredible. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I will catch you all later. Peace.
Hi to you, my boy. How your day going? How your day going?
Yeah, they're gorgeous. Thank you.
The film opens with Leon narrating
got
that
some graham crackers, though.
someone pushed the red button and nearly
Graham
wiped out
crackers.
humanity. Civilization eventually rebuilt itself, but not evenly. That's when the genetics appeared, lab-engineered humans who live like royalty. On the opposite end are the specials, ordinary people whose bodies reject genetic upgrades. They became the bottom of society. The scene shifts to a museum-like educational center where a tour guide is explaining history to a group of kids. She tells them that 65 years earlier, a massive nuclear war destroyed the old world and took down the global communication network. With everything lost, humanity was forced back into nature to survive. She gestures to a statue of Liam Smith, the greatest botanist and genetic engineer of all time, the man who discovered the Genesis tree deep in the Amazon rainforest. As she talks, we cut to Leon and his niece Chloe sneaking through the building. The guide continues, explaining that the flowers of the Genesis tree hold a massive amount of energy, enough to replace the world's fallen electrical grid. In a nearby hallway, two guards chat casually about a soccer game. Leon releases a toy mouse to distract them. The moment they pick it up, the device emits gas and knocks them out cold. Leon rolls forward in his wheelchair while the path is clear. He then uses another gas grenade to take down the scientists inside a containment chamber. Leon tries hacking a security panel and asks Chloe for the correct code. Meanwhile, the guy tells the kids that for more than 50 years, babies have been receiving genetic upgrades before birth. Improved hearing, sharper vision, enhanced physical ability, and even specialized talents, like flawless singing. She points to superstar Mira as an example. Chloe gets into a fight with a guard and, in the chaos, manages to steal a notepad full of security codes. She relays them to Leon, allowing him to unlock the secured chamber. He has only 3 minutes. Leon uses a small device to crack open the glass case and extract the Genesis flower. The system detects the breach, blares an alarm, and begins locking down the facility. Before leaving, Leon grabs a vial of Genesis flower extract. He and Chloe escape right as the doors seal shut. Soon after, TV broadcasts pop up across the city. Senator Frank Kessler promotes his brand new proposal, promising that if it passes, adults will finally be able to receive genetic treatments, guaranteeing a bright, genetically enhanced future for everyone. Mira appears on screen too, endorsing the proposal and announcing a tour through the special district to promote unity. Leon and Chloe return to their hideout, part workshop, part home. While Chloe absent-mindedly sings and washes dishes, Leon carefully removes small energy stones from the stolen Genesis plant. Later, he begins helping underground clients, using the stones to fix illegal tech. In the middle of his work, the phone rings. A panicked man offers triple the usual price if Leon can fix a mechanical suit urgently. The problem is the location, a restaurant in Davinger, deep in the genetic district, where specials like them aren't welcome without authorization. Chloe complains, reminding Leon of their rule to never accept house calls and pointing out how dangerous the district is. But the money tempts Leon and he accepts anyway. When they arrive, the difference between districts is massive. Inside the fancy restaurant, wealthy customers sip wine without a care in the world. Leon and Chloe meet the client in the back, where his mechanical suit is torn apart. Leon starts repairing it as fast as he can. Suddenly, a group of masked men bursts into the dining area. The anti-genetic squad, AGSO, led by a man we later learn is Captain Hughes. He tells everyone to enjoy their meal because it will be their last. The massacre starts instantly. The genetics inside never stand a chance. In the kitchen, Chloe and Leon hear the screams. Their client runs out to see what's happening and returns seconds later, fatally wounded, collapsing at their feet. Panicking, Chloe and Leon try to force the back door open, but it won't move. Leon glances at the broken mechanical suit and, acting purely on instinct, climbs inside, using it as makeshift armor. Chloe hides close beside him. They peek out just in time to see the squad leader ordering his men to spray anti-genetic symbols all over the walls. Then he spots them and charges. Leon and Chloe put up a desperate fight until Leon finds a gap and shoves the back door open. They sprint through the alleys as police sirens begin echoing across the city. Back at their hideout, they watch the news in disbelief. The media labels the attack as extremist violence, but police have already released descriptions of the suspects based on witness testimony: a tall man in a mechanical suit and a young girl. In other words, Leon and Chloe have been framed. Moments later, Captain Hughes appears on TV, vowing to hunt down the monsters hiding in the special district. Leon recognizes his scar immediately. It's the same man who led the restaurant massacre. While gathering themselves, Chloe notices a paper that fell from one of the attackers during their escape. It's a diagram outlining the next strike. They realize the target is Myra's upcoming concert. The next morning, Leon wants to leave the city entirely. He says going to the authorities is pointless because Hughes basically controls the police. Chloe pushes back, saying they have to warn Mira or more innocent people will die, and if they stay silent, the specials will be blamed again. The argument gets heated. Leon loses his temper and reminds her he is responsible for her safety, so she needs to listen. Chloe snaps. She tells him she always saw him as an older brother and the only decent person in her life. But now he's just a selfish piece of trash on wheels. She storms out in tears and anger. Her words cut deep. Leon sits with them, crushed, and finally changes his mind. Leon gets straight to work on the fully upgraded battle suit, barely stopping to breathe. When Chloe comes back, she finds him knee-deep in the process. They reconcile immediately. Using her background in botany, Chloe suggests enhancing the suit even further. She proposes biological reagents that can release pollen, fire thorns, and even sprout roots. Leon loves the idea. On the day of the show, Mira steps onto the stage singing about harmony and acceptance. The specials in the crowd watch, clearly moved. When the performance ends, she heads outside with her security team, but the squad ambushes them. The men take everyone down and drag Mira straight to Hughes, who threatens her without hesitation. Just then, Leon shows up wearing the fully upgraded suit, now mixed with Chloe's botanical tech. Hughes laughs and calls him Flower Man, and the fight explodes instantly. Leon battles the entire squad with brute force and every gadget the suit has. In the chaos, he manages to grab Mira, and the two escape at high speed back to the hideout.
Uber Eats knows whenever you watch football, you get hungry. And look, a buy one, get one 10-piece McDonald's Chicken McNuggets deal on Uber Eats just as your cravings hit. How convenient. When football makes you hungry, get deals all season long on Uber Eats. Order now.
You've drawn the shortest straw in the holiday gift exchange. Your girlfriend's dad.
sentence. Come on, keep going. And that's it. You're like a stick of dynamite. Starting to train for me. I need to stop.
Terrified, Mira thinks she's been kidnapped, but Chloe explains they actually saved her. Still injured, Leon asks for help, and Mira, who admits she always dreamed of becoming a doctor, carefully bandages him. They tell her Hughes is behind every attack and that the squad has been staging false flag operations to pin everything on the specials and block Proposal 42. Mira is stunned that the head of Special Forces is the mastermind. During the conversation, something becomes clear. The next attack is planned. Mira mentions she has an appointment the next day at the Family Planning Center, right next to Senator Kessler's office. Leon connects the dots immediately. Kessler is the real target. If he dies, the specials will take the blame and chaos will explode. To enter the clinic, Leon and Mira pretend to be a couple. Leon shows up pretending to be Dr. Gay Plain, a ridiculous name he makes up on the spot, and the receptionist instantly raises an eyebrow. But Myra's presence smooths things over and they're allowed in. The doctor assumes they're there to talk about genetic enhancements for their future child. As they walk, Leon tells the doctor Mira will give a surprise performance for the staff, using that excuse to herd everyone into one room. That's when the squad storms the building. Hughes charges in, expecting the place to be empty, until Leon steps out behind him. He mocks Leon again and the fight erupts. Leon's gadgets work at first, but the squad's numbers overwhelm him and he's beaten to the ground. Everything shifts when Senator Kessler arrives with his security team. The squad retreats immediately. Hurt and lying on the floor, Leon looks up at the senator and quietly says, "Father." Chloe, who rushed over after hearing the commotion, sees everything and is devastated. Kessler confirms the truth. Leon is his son. The revelation crushes Chloe, who feels betrayed, especially after the hospital attack. Proposal 42 passes unanimously. All specials are relocated to a new medical camp outside the city, supposedly for treatment. Leon is sent there too and reunites with Chloe. They hug tightly and she's relieved he didn't choose his father. Soon after, Leon asks why Mira warned Kessler. She says he could have died and she had to do something. But Leon explains he still doesn't trust his father. He questions the squad, the attacks, the genetics, everything. Mira asks why Kessler would lead this and Leon asks who else benefits. In the end, only the senator gains. Mira admits he might be right, but reminds him they need proof. That's when Leon brings up the lab. He says everything they need is inside. Chloe sneaks into the laboratory wearing a hidden camera. There she sees Kessler and Hughes together. Hughes demands the truth and Kessler finally reveals the real plan. He explains the horrific postnatal improvements, extracting biomaterial from the brain of a special donor, killing them, to create an essence that lets genetics receive unlimited upgrades. Specials are the raw material. Kessler openly says he has no intention of helping the specials. He only wants to exploit them. Worse, he says he plans to cure Leon, believing he'd be saving his son from his inferior nature. Chloe's recording is shown at the camp, and the specials watch the entire thing. Afterward, Mira steps outside and apologizes to Leon for not believing him. He forgives her but tells everyone they need to fight. He asks Chloe for his suit. The scene cuts to Leon lying in a hospital bed as his father enters proudly, saying he's finally going to cure him. Leon grabs his hand and says he already knows everything. Their confrontation isn't physical. It's a heartbreaking exchange of words. Kessler insists he did everything for Leon, while Leon tells him the real sick person is him. Leon locks his father in the room. Chloe hands him the suit's ammo, and Leon storms into the security room, knocking out the guards. The plan: broadcast the lab footage to the police and the public. Chloe starts the upload while Mira watches the door. At the camp, Hughes and his men arrive to crush the uprising. Leon joins the specials, and the place erupts into a full-on battlefield. The specials fight with whatever they can. The guards escalate to firearms. Leon and Hughes face off one last time. Hughes overpowers him and is seconds away from killing him. But Leon reaches for the Genesis tree, which releases thorns that shoot directly into Hughes, dropping him instantly. At that exact moment, the upload completes. The police receive everything and storm the camp, ordering everyone to disarm. They rush to the senator's room, but only find the nurses dead. Chloe and Mira run to the lab and find Leon on the floor. They tell him they succeeded, and Mira kisses him. News broadcasts announce Kessler's downfall, the exposure of the plan, and the repeal of Proposal 42. But the narration reveals that Senator Kessler escaped. In the final shot, Leon, Chloe, and Mira sit together in the special district, finally safe, unaware that Kessler is watching them from nearby before disappearing once again. The film ends with the three of them forming a new family. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you never miss any of the exciting content coming your way. Every new video is made with you in mind, and I'd love to have you here for the journey. See you in the next one.
Copilot, make us claymation. Dude. Copilot, make us statues.
Oh, come on.
Make us anime style.
Why you got second Julie tattooing you? They not dead. I wouldn't tap nobody on me that's not dead. 2 days after that, these boys dead.
Well, it just, which one were you close with?
Both of them. Every last one of them.
YNW Melly's whole case just flipped on its head because a close homie finally leaked that late night murder footage, and what he exposed ain't light. The streets got questions, the internet shaking, and this new clip, it might rewrite everything we thought we knew about that night. Let's get inside the details. The bombshell that just dropped. These leaked videos surfaced in November 2025 featuring Jacoby Mills, a close associate who was present that night, and they're giving us the most detailed insider perspective we've ever gotten on what really went down the night Sack Chaser and Juvie got murked. But this ain't some grainy cell phone footage of the actual murders. This is raw, unfiltered interrogation tape that's got the streets talking and the internet going absolutely insane.
I already know. I'm not dead and gone. I already know what y'all doing.
Well, it just, which one were you close with?
Both of them. Every last one of them.
Did you grow up with them?
Every last one of them.
Real talk. This footage is hitting different because Mills was actually there that night, riding in the red car that followed the Jeep where the murders allegedly happened. This ain't some secondhand information or street rumors. This is firsthand testimony from someone who was part of the crew, someone who knew all the players, someone who saw how the whole thing played out from the inside. But to understand why this footage is causing such a massive explosion across social media, we gotta break down the foundation of this case that's been captivating the hood for over 6 years straight. This all started back on October 26, 2018, when two young rising rappers, Anthony YNW Sackchaser Williams and Christopher YNW Juvie Thomas Jr., were found dead in a Jeep Cherokee at Memorial Hospital, Miramar. Now, YNW Melly, real name Jamel Demon, wasn't just some random dude in the streets. This was one of their closest homies, part of the same YNW collective that had been grinding together in the Florida rap scene, building something special from the ground up. These weren't enemies. These were supposedly brothers who had each other's backs through thick and thin. The initial story that came out was that Cortland, YNW Bortland Henry, drove the victims to the hospital after they got hit in a random drive-by shooting. On the surface, it seemed like just another tragic case of young black men getting caught up in street violence, the kind of story that happens way too often in our communities. But as the investigation started peeling back the layers, the whole narrative began to fall apart faster than a house of cards in a tornado. The forensic evidence told a completely different story than what was originally reported. Instead of bullets coming from outside the vehicle like you'd expect in a drive-by, the autopsy results showed that both victims had been shot from inside the Jeep. Not only that, but the bullet trajectories indicated the shots came from the exact seat where Melly was supposedly sitting. Let me break this down for y'all because this is where the case gets really wild. The prosecution's theory is that around 1 a.m. on October 26, 2018, 8 young men showed up at New Era Recording Studio in Fort Lauderdale to work on music. Nothing unusual about that. Studios stay busy with hungry artists grinding through the night, trying to make something happen. But according to the leaked footage, the vibe was off from the jump that night. Mills describes everyone acting weird and not like their usual selves. Sack Chaser was apparently being extra aggressive, slapping people for falling asleep during the session. The energy was toxic, the studio session wasn't productive, and by 3:19 a.m., everybody decided to call it a night and head home. Here's where the timeline gets crucial. The group split into 2 vehicles. 4 people got into a red Mitsubishi SUV, Trevian Glass, Dontavia Swithers, Jacoby Mills, and Adrian Davis, while the other 4 got into a gray Jeep Cherokee, Cortland Henry driving, Anthony Williams in front, Christopher Thomas in the back, and Jamel Demons, YNW Melly, in the rear driver's side seat. Now, surveillance cameras tracked both vehicles taking the same route initially, I-95 south to 595, then 595 across to I-75 south, and finally, I-75 south to Miramar.
Yeah, I say that like that don't sound. That was just drive by. Like, man, there's so many look through that story because like how you not get hit? It's a drive by. Like you didn't get hit, and he still made it to the hospital and dropped him off. And they didn't chase him down. Like, those stories don't add up at all.
Went north. Where did they go? This is where the story gets absolutely changed. The Jeep traveled north on 180
Like,
up to Pines.
if it's a drive-by, I'm pretty sure they're gonna make sure that other motherfucker, that other person, they gonna make sure that other person don't get away. If it was a freaking drive-by, or they gonna close it out so there's no witness period.
According to cell phone data, it was at this isolated location at 4:02 a.m. that the murders allegedly took place. But here's the part that makes this case so absolutely wild. When police searched the entire stretch of Miramar Parkway where the drive-by was supposed to have happened, they found absolutely nothing. No shell casings, no glass.
Right, and that too, they didn't find no shell casings, so they ain't adding up at all. It would have been a whole bunch of shell casings.
Occurred there. Meanwhile, the medical examiner's testimony revealed that when the drive-by was allegedly staged at 4:02 a.m., both victims were already dead. The additional gunshot wounds that were consistent with external shooting were post-mortem, meaning they happened after the victims had already been killed by shots fired inside the vehicle. Let that sink in for a minute. According to the prosecution's theory, Melly and Bortland didn't just kill their friends. They staged an elaborate cover-up, driving around with dead bodies in the car and then shooting up the vehicle from the outside to make it look like a random drive-by. That's some cold-blooded, calculated behavior that goes way beyond a simple beef or argument that got out of hand. But the prosecution didn't stop there. They presented Instagram DMs where someone asked Melly about the deaths, and he allegedly replied, "I did that." They also showed that Melly was connected to the G-Shine blood set, and that just 2 days before the murders, he was learning the oath of loyalty to the gang. Now, the first trial ended in a mistrial in July 2023 when the jury couldn't reach a unanimous verdict. The retrial has been delayed multiple times and is now scheduled for January 2027. Melly has been locked up for over 6 years without a conviction, and his co-defendant Bortland accepted a plea deal in October 2025 for accessory charges. This brings us to why these leaked videos are such a massive deal. Jacoby Mills, also known as Jacoby Mills or Cortez Teasy, Jacoby is described as Bortland's blood cousin and was one of the people riding in the red car that night. This means he was close enough to the situation to know what really happened, but far enough removed to potentially survive and tell the story. These videos were originally recorded in January 2019, just months after the murders happened and before most of the case details became public. That timing is crucial because it means Mills was talking about things that wouldn't be revealed to the public for years, which gives his statements serious credibility. The fact that this footage is just now surfacing in November 2025, right as the retrial is being prepared, raises some serious questions about timing and motivation. Are these leaks strategically timed to influence public opinion? Are they connected to the civil lawsuits that are still ongoing? Or did they just happen to surface now as part of the discovery process in other related cases? The hip-hop community's reaction has been absolutely explosive, with everyone from DJ academics to random Twitter users weighing in on what these revelations mean. The streets are divided. repeatedly denies being a snitch throughout the interrogation, insisting that he's just trying to help his friends. But the details he provides are so specific and potentially damaging that it's hard to see how they could help anyone except the prosecution. Mills spills all the tea, the most explosive hip-hop confession ever. Yo, we're back, and it's about to get real spicy. More explosive than anything we've seen in hip-hop in years. This dude basically laid out the entire blueprint of what allegedly went down that night, and some of these details are so specific that they're giving me chills just thinking about them. Mills starts off by giving a minute-by-minute breakdown of the studio session that night, and right from the jump, you can tell something was off about the whole vibe. He describes how they got to New Era Recording Studio around midnight, but instead of the usual productive energy, everybody was tired and falling asleep. Now in the hood, when you book studio time, that's expensive. You don't waste that money unless something serious is going on. But here's where Mills' story starts getting really interesting. He paints Sack Chaser as this aggressive, controlling dude who was slapping people for dozing off during the session. Now, if you know anything about street dynamics, when someone's getting that disrespectful in front of the whole crew, that's usually building up to some serious drama. Mills describes Sack Chaser as crazy and having a history of violence, which fits with other accounts suggesting there were ongoing tensions within the group about money and control.
Saying Kobe poured it on the run?
Yeah, 5:30 in the morning. She called out of work. And she called, but stop. And you really can't even tell boy, and I know what. Yeah, don't say it. Don't say it.
That's what she told Mariah too, because that's what Mariah told me. Jamie just called me at 8 and told me.
Nelly called her at like 5:30 that morning.
This brings us to something that's been rumored in the streets for years, but never confirmed: the money disputes that allegedly led to the murders. According to various sources in the leaked audio, there were major disagreements over a record deal worth several $100,000. Sack Chaser apparently believed he was the CEO of YNW and was entitled to get half of whatever Melly made. Now, Mills gives us some details about the vehicle setup that night that are absolutely crucial to understanding what went down. He confirms that the Jeep had Bortman driving, Sack Chaser in the front passenger seat, Melly behind Bortman, and Juvie behind Sack Chaser. Mills himself was in the red car with Tay driving, Fetty in the front passenger seat, and Adrian Davis. But here's something that gives me goosebumps every time I think about it. Mills claims he initially tried to get into the Jeep, but felt divinely prevented from doing so. Whether you believe in divine intervention or just street intuition, this detail suggests that Mills sensed something was about to go wrong with that particular group of people. Mills also mentions that Juvie collected weapons from the studio before they left, and that Melly was carrying a brown satchel that supposedly had a gun in it. This aligns with the prosecution's theory that the murders were premeditated rather than some spontaneous argument that got out of hand. But now we get to the part that's absolutely wild. Mills describes how they arrived at the house in Sunset Lakes and waited outside for about 30 minutes because nobody had keys. Most people went inside and fell asleep, but around 4 a.m., Mills gets this absolutely chilling phone call from his mother saying someone had called and threatened, "Y'all all dead." Let that sink in for a minute. Mills' mother gets a call in the middle of the night warning that her son and his friends are in mortal danger. That's some serious street politics right there. When people start threatening family members, things have escalated way beyond just music business disputes. Mills then describes getting multiple missed calls from Melly, including 17 calls to Drew, who was the group's videographer. When someone's blowing up your phone like that in the middle of the night, you know something major has just happened. But here comes the most damning part of Mills' entire testimony. He describes how Melly
What up, my boy?
after the murders. And
How your day going?
was straight up fake.
You having a good day?
According to Mills, Melly was fake crying with no actual tears, just putting on a performance to sell the story that he was devastated about his friend's deaths. Now in the hood, being able to fake emotions convincingly after committing violence is a skill that separates the real killers from the wannabes. If Mills' account is accurate, we're talking about someone who could murder his closest friends and then immediately switch into performance mode to cover his tracks. That's some serious sociopathic behavior right there. Mills also provides specific details about Melly's appearance when he saw him at Fredo Bang's house afterward. He mentions that Melly had changed into a tank top and gym shorts, which suggests a clothing change that could be related to disposing of evidence. This detail about clothing changes has been corroborated by other witnesses who testified during the trial. But wait, it gets even more insane. Mills describes how the next morning, the crew went searching in nearby woods and found a blood-soaked .40 caliber handgun. Mills says he actually held this bloody gun before a manager took it away from him. He also mentions they were looking for a second weapon weapon described as a Tech, probably a Tech 9, but never found it. This detail about finding weapons is huge because the prosecution has always said they never recovered the murder weapon despite extensive searches. Mills's account suggests that weapons were found and disposed of by the crew, which would explain why law enforcement never located them. Throughout all of this, Mills consistently says that Bortman wasn't really involved in the actual violence. He describes Bortman as someone who isn't living like that and wasn't capable of the kind of cold-blooded murder that allegedly occurred. This could explain why Bortman was able to take a plea deal for accessory charges instead of facing murder charges. But Mills doesn't just stop at describing what happened. He starts speculating about why it happened, and this is where things get really controversial. Mills talks about this being a setup and draws comparisons to other high-profile cases like King Von's murder. But the most explosive part is when he starts questioning NBA YoungBoy's knowledge about the incident.
The remix of Melly song, listen to that. He said, busted nigga head, something.
Mills specifically asks how NBA YoungBoy knew so much about what happened, referencing social media posts and an alleged remix song that supposedly contained insider details about the murders. Now, this is where we gotta pump the brakes a little bit because extensive searches haven't found any evidence of this alleged remix, and no federal investigations have connected NBA YoungBoy to these murders. But the fact that Mills brought up YoungBoy at all is significant because there were reportedly previous altercations between their crews. In the streets, these kinds of beefs can escalate quickly and lead to serious consequences. Whether YoungBoy actually had anything to do with what happened or not, the fact that he's being mentioned in connection with this case shows how deep the web of hip-hop politics can get. What makes Mills' statements particularly compelling is how many details he provided in 2019 that weren't public knowledge at the time, but have since been proven accurate. For example, Mills mentioned that Judy's thumb was shot off, which wasn't confirmed publicly until lawyer John Phillips released autopsy photos in 2025. Mills also correctly described the location where Melly was picked up by Fredo Bang, details that align with cell phone data that wasn't revealed until the trial. But throughout this entire interrogation, Mills keeps insisting that he's not snitching, he's just trying to help his friends. At one point, he expresses genuine fear that they might kill his family over his cooperation with law enforcement.
If we don't turn in front of them, it was already too late. We can't try to pull over and get back behind them.
Now, the reaction to these leaks has been absolutely insane across social media. Hip-hop personalities like DJ Academics have analyzed the footage, while fans on platforms like Reddit and Twitter think about it. How do you find 12
Yeah, I ran to the stairway because he heard me talking crazy, like, man, what's going on? He looking lost, like, what's going on, bro? I said, man, go see the sack in this room, bro.
Think about it. How do you find 12 impartial jurors when half the internet has already watched Mills break down exactly what he thinks happened that night? Defense attorneys are definitely going to move to suppress this evidence. Was seeking justice for. Murdered friends, Mills was in an impossible situation. If he stayed silent, the killers potentially get away with murder. If he talks to police, he gets labeled a snitch and becomes a target himself. The fact that Mills expressed genuine fear that his family might be killed for cooperating shows just how serious these dynamics can be. In the streets, snitching isn't just about legal consequences, it's about survival. From a broader cultural perspective, this case is highlighting some uncomfortable truths about the music industry happened that night. Mills's description of Juvie as an innocent who wanted out of the rap lifestyle and his portrayal of the complex relationships within the group paint a picture of young men whose lives were cut short, allegedly by someone they trusted. The viral nature of these leaks also raises questions about ethics in the social media age. Should interrogation footage be entertainment? How do we balance the public's right to information with the rights of defendants to fair trials? These are questions that extend far beyond legal proceedings in hip-hop history. The full truth of what happened on October 26, 2018 may be more complex than anyone initially realized, but Mills's detailed account has given us the most comprehensive insider perspective we've ever had on these tragic events. Whether this footage ultimately helps convict Melly reveals additional layers of complexity or gets
To the home makes you.
Here's everything you need to know about Fortnite Chapter 7. You can now revive yourself with the new self-res device, and this item can be found inside of supply drops, and it does not take up an inventory slot. You can now roll around and slide while being knocked, that way it makes it harder for enemies to finish you. There are 3 new mythics and medallions in the game, and here's how to get them. The first is dropped by Husk, who drops an insanely accurate mythic AR, and she also drops a mythic medallion that allows you to use 0-point dashes. Next up is Human Bill, who drops a mythic arc weapon, and his medallion allows you to have low gravity. And last up is Brutus, and when you eliminate him, he drops a dual wield mythic shotgun, and he also drops a medallion that allows you to regenerate your shield. There's a new item called the Vow Blade, which you can find inside of these yellow portals, and this Vow Blade will allow you to do dashes in the sky and a slam attack. The wingsuit is one of the newest cool movement items in the game, which will allow...
That was strong, bro. Are you okay? He got a stick on him outside. Wait. He said, pull up.
Pull through if y'all want to.
Pull through if y'all want to. What's that? He said he flipping, so who is that? Who is that? I'm listening off anything. I ain't hit no shots at all. Show me some. Show me some. Has he got a knot on his arm? You got a beat on him, huh? Is that why you on here yelling like that?
You can't do all that. Come on. Pull up. I'm smoking on every bro. Somebody, nigga, fuck say legs to that daddy fuck your big ass.
Yeah, he gonna...
This on mama. Y'all, that nigga know I got hats. And your bitch on that butt, my soul. I ain't even gonna tell myself. Mama, this on mama. Yo, bitch. Say legs, yo, on that butt when I drop fat, yo, I say, dude, yo, I didn't even shoot back, yo, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, gang. This is what I be saying. It's like a lot of nerds that picked up a pipe, put a ski mask on, and call themselves a street. And they gonna go outside and do any and everything they can.
Look, first car pulled through there, I swear to God.
He said, first car he pulled through there, he's switching that. First car pull up. Now here he is. Oh, he ain't. Oh, he got this blitz. And it went live. It paused. Wah, wah, wah. Super emotional, right?
Pretty full.
Where you going? I thought you was about to crash out. Where you going? Why is he running? Is he knocking on somebody's door? Oh, he done got scared and went in the house. No, he didn't, folks. He done got scared and went. He did all that. Wait. He done got scared and went in the house. No, he didn't, folks. He done got scared and went. He did all that. Got scared and took his pocket in the house.
They know, hey, you know what they say about them with the hoodie on in the...
It's crazy. Pass out. I know what you mean by pass out.
Ain't nobody saying nothing. I'm not even gonna say nothing bad about Eminem. Cause way too much stuff rides and rock, right? But Eminem don't even like his own mama. So Lord knows what he'll say about your black ass, okay? And Eminem's a white rapper. So his records gonna do it every station, the country station, the talk station. The black rappers just go Hot 97. Now you gotta watch where you sit everybody. You can't sit 50 near Ja Rule. You can't sit Jay-Z near Nas. Everybody gotta watch out for. You got the Olsen twins over there, so then you gotta put R. Kelly way up there.
The one Grammy I have is for Crack a Bottle. I couldn't even have that without him. You know, that's why I have so much value for him, not just in my career, just in my life, because he's a guy that, one of my best friends, because I can trust that he's going to be honest with.
In February 2000, right when the Slim Shady LP was exploding, Eminem felt like it wasn't a coincidence at all.
Ooh, excuse me, y'all.
It felt like the industry
I had
had
gas.
the perfect, safe spokesperson, someone who could smile for
For dogs, it doesn't get much more fun than this. Whatever that is.
Like this moment, when Bravold 89's friends decided to entertain his audience with a spit fight.
The homies.
Mommy, what? Go away. You call me fat? Go away.
What's up, Lord family?
It's not about you being real. That's not nice, Shane. You don't do that. You don't say I'm fat. I have 3 kids. And I'm not 19.
He said, go and I said, me and Papa was on a conversation and he mentioned it, right, Papa?
Yes.
She's fat. Yeah, but he knows.
Lulu, you was in my stomach. He was in my stomach. Teach him to cherish a woman and cherish me.
Oh, but then I go away. So before I show you.
Yeah. It's not nice, babe. I don't like that.
I love you, cool, baby. It's okay. Get
Where
your
do you
boys.
go?
The boys chilling right now, go. Let the boys chill right now. Me and my son chilling. Boys time. So we don't play game. Don't
That's
have a
not nice, Shady. I don't always put the dust on my body. You're gonna call me fat?
Papa, tell mommy go. Now.
Hey, give me a kiss.
Good, good. Let's go, baby.
Why are you teaching him that? That's not nice.
They were not teaching. He's a grown man. He understands. He thinks he's a baby.
You don't do that.
Listen.
You don't teach him that.
I'm not teaching him. He's a grown man. It's like a reincarnation of a grown man's soul.
No, Shane, you don't teach him that. You don't teach him to tell his mom she's fat.
You're underestimating this little boy, right? He's a grown
I don't
man.
underestimate him. I know how smart my
He's
son
smart.
is.
He came up with that. He told me that. You fat. I didn't come up with that myself. He come and tell me that mommy's fat.
Yeah, but you teach him not to say that.
Yeah, but I teach him. I said, Daddy, shut up. He's a grown man. I'm trying to tell you. Baby, this man is grown.
Shut up.
All right. Keep on underestimating. Keep on underestimating this little grown man right here.
Oh, he's fat.
No, keep on underestimating this grown man.
That's not
He teaching me that. He's a grown man, I'm trying to tell you. He's an old soul, he reincarnated in a baby body right anyway. That's an old soul right there. Me and one conversation one night, he was telling me that you will see, like, he know how to read stories. I'm like, how you don't read stories? He was like,
I'm gonna give you shit because you don't do that and he learns how to treat
he told me that. He know how to read stories and shit.
I don't care what
I didn't know about the universe. I'm like, yo, what universe you in? Come on.
Mom! No, Sherry, call me fat. That's not nice. Mommy, what?
The mommy the bread.
Mommy is big.
Nobody likes a cracked windshield.
What was that?
No, but you can go to SafeLight.com and get it fixed now and pay later. Awesome. SafeLight can come to you for free. Don't wait. Get it fixed now and pay later at SafeLight.com.
SafeLight repair, SafeLight replace.
Some companies think hens don't need to be outside. We politely disagree.
I was calling.
You mean we
No,
had?
that's a good idea.
Your idea.
That's a good idea. Right, puppy? You a grown man? All right. I love my son. You love it, puppy. You a grown man. I love you, puppy. You my boy. Yeah, you got it, boy. I like your outfit. You look good. You get all the girls? How many girls you want? Two? You want two girlfriends? Well, you put up one. Which one? Two or one? One girlfriend or two girlfriends? Two?
Yes.
You want two girlfriends? So you get to mommy, I want two girlfriends.
What? Oh, like, share, subscribe.
That's crazy. Let's see what's up on YouTube.
New notification. Lurking as spot. Welcome. Welcome. New notification. New deal. Master
I still haven't got that car on thing though. I should start playing this shit. Let me see. Oh, family there. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, that's what it's called. That's all I thought. Oh, it's called Christmas Heart. Oh, okay, Christmas. Oh, we got to touch that. That's some good cars. Oh, it said you can get this? Oh, wait. Dark Condition plus a level 7 or higher dragon or warrior monster. If your monster attacks the defense, defense holds monster infinite damage to your opponent. Once in turn, your monster destroys monster by battle, you can influence to your opponent equals to if this card is destroyed, you can choose. Okay, that's a good card. Continuous build cannot be destroyed by monstrous effect. You can only use each of the following effect options. Turn during the main cycle. You can have one Manage one card from the deck for seconds. I think I don't got Oh, it's cheating on this. That's what he's talking about. I gotta get some cards of those, my boy. So you need Dark Ninja plus one chaos. Oh, I think that's a fusion card. I do got him. Oh, I still got chaos. Stone got all of them. I got him. He just I thought, oh, I don't have you either. Need you. Yeah, you can set on this card from your hand. This card. You can only set this on when she knows, oh, I'm back to your hand. You can set this on this okay. Just got my damn I gotta get him from the thing. I don't know why they see oh, see, I know they have all that. Yeah, I gotta get this thing. Still missing a couple of these cards. Searching for opponents. We are searching for opponents right now. He got a dark magician too. It's an error. Error. Oh, y'all don't stop it right here. Just want to chop it up with y'all boys.